Hey guys, as many of you know that you've seen me post videos about, struggles with temptation, struggles with rejection, you know, tips on possibly dealing with pornography. And in those videos I try to give tips, you know, of things that I have learned myself. You know, now I don't pretend to know like I have it all together. I don't I'm not going to pretend like I'm one of those, people out there that, think they have no problems whatsoever. Because if somebody never expresses any kind of weakness that they may have, then there's something seriously wrong. I mean, if you don't express your weakness, how can you lead other people into freedom if you can't see how far somebody has come? So, that is really more or less the topic of this video. I have a video out there that says reasons to stop pornography, and then I have another video that speaks about dealing with temptation. So I wanted to go in depth on issues that we may struggle with. It could be pornography, or any other addiction that is hard to conquer. But I believe a majority of the focus may be dealing with you know pornography and things that guys do struggle with. And, pornography is a hard temptation to beat. And, like any other addiction, it is a temptation that is hard. And, we can't minimize it and, think that, it's nothing and it just needs to be quit as if it's an easy thing to do. I know when I struggled with pornography in the past, a pastor told me fast for 3 months. What is that supposed to do? It doesn't, it only more or less cuts the top of it off. It doesn't get to the root of the issue. So that was the solution for, apparently the issue itself. So with that being said, I'm more or less speaking about just how powerful, an addiction can be. And when you allow the addiction to come in and take hold of you, then it's I guess you would say it's a stronghold. You are then in bondage to that certain addiction. So this is basically the title of this video is called Sin Shall Not Be Your Master. And I believe that's, that verse is in Romans. So, as you know, the world follows its lusts and its desires. That's how the world goes by. And many people in the world think it's okay. Hey, everyone does it, so it's okay, and I don't have a problem. But when you come to know God, you realize that you are a slave to your flesh. And if you are a slave, then you're being a slave to something that is not good. And, if you're in a relationship with God, then there is something that is being a master to you more than Jesus. So I'm hoping in these videos that I can help you to be able to conquer any addiction. Now, even if you do come to God, you are still in bondage to whatever addiction that, you have. Just because you may turn out to be a Christian, you're still going to deal with those addictions until you fully give them to Jesus. So you are a slave to that. When I got saved, you know, I struggled with pornography. I still struggle even after. And, if I would have allowed it, it would have became such a stronghold. And it was. For some time, it was a stronghold. You start looking at it, and then therefore, you get tempted, and the next thing you know is that you've spent hours looking at it and defiling your spirit. And Anybody that has dealt with it knows that basically what I'm saying is true. And, like I said at the beginning, you're not going to see me coming off like I'm all that I have it all together, and that I'm not going to express any flaws or weaknesses like so many people do. You're going to see me share my weaknesses with you. And it's for the very purpose that, number one, that you don't see that I'm this great person. And number two, that I'm right along with you in dealing with, any kind of addiction. So, with a certain addiction or temptation, it could be something that may be defiling you. It depends on your focus. If you focus on a particular sin and you keep doing it, if that is your focus, you keep doing it, then you then are a slave to that particular sin. And the more that you focus on that particular sin, the more bondage that you have. Now, let's switch this. Instead of focusing on sin, if you focus on Jesus, then he frees you from that bondage. You no longer are a prisoner of that sin, because Jesus has taken the power of that sin away. Now, if you look at it from the flesh, you're in chains. And there's different addictions in this world. There's alcoholism, there's smoking, there's pornography, whatever it may be. There may be overeating, whatever it is. And it said in Scripture, sin shall not be your master. So, question, can you quit each at the snap of a finger? No, then you are a slave to that sin. And I'm going to share, Romans chapter 6, verses 14 to 23 with you. I don't have my Bible with me, so take a moment and check that out. So once you've read that verse, I want to share, an example with you. Let's say if you're struggling with pornography. Each time that you watch, pornography, a seed is placed in you to want more. It's like, going to Dunkin' Donuts every moment, every day. You drink it, I guess it would be the caffeine in it, causes you to want more. So then you're then addicted to it. It's like smoking. Nicotine causes you to want another cigarette. Alcohol, the content in it wants you, gets you to want more. So you will find yourselves engaged in it all the time. And if that happens, your flesh then rules over your spirit. For me, it wasn't too long ago that I did not fight temptation. I was tempted to look at something. It's like the enemy spoke in my mind about what to look up. So once he did that, I got tempted by what he said. And instead of fighting that temptation like I had many victories in the past, I didn't fight this time. So I got tempted and I looked at a certain, videos or pictures. And then I found myself continually to look at it. And then after I was done, I was like, man, I screwed up again. And I asked God for forgiveness. And you know what? It's not worth looking at, because then you feel like garbage after. You realize that, only you have sinned against God. And you need his forgiveness. So I want to share that with you so you know that you're not the only one who's alone. What I should have done was, once the enemy spoke, I should have got up, walked away, and prayed for somebody, because that would have taken the power of that temptation away, just like Jesus did. He was tempted by the enemy. Looking at the stones, the enemy said, make these stones become bread if you're the Son of God. And Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that come from the mouth of God. So he was taking away that temptation at the root. He was dealing with it. And that is what I should have done. So, don't take my example. I would ask that you would Once you feel tempted about something, get up and pray for somebody. Whatever it will take in order to deal with that temptation. Because once you start doing it, then God takes the power of that sin away to where you won't deal with it. And like I said, I had many victories in the past to where God helped me to deal with that. So the next section I'm talking about is fight, which I, was just speaking about. You must fight the temptation. And, you could check out the video I have called Dealing with Temptation. Now, the moment that you feel an urge to look at it, like I said, get up, walk away, start praying for somebody, shut your phone off, go for a drive, put your phone in the back seat to where you're not dealing with it and start praying, that God would relieve you of that. I've heard of many people that were relieved by God of their addiction to where they didn't deal with it anymore. And there's some people that still struggle with it. So it is a walk, even if we can't deal with the entire sin right now and conquer it, God will give us the freedom eventually. So it takes, learning to, change our focus from the flesh to the spirit. Now, if you're tempted, check out my videos on temptation and, possibly this one. That way it would help you. Another good video is, if you're struggling with pornography, check out my video on reasons to stop pornography. I give some tips in there as well. And last thing to fight it is, remove yourself from the room that you're in and start praying for somebody. So in closing, the more you focus on God and you deny the urges that you feel, the urge then becomes less, and also the power of those urges. So let's say that, you've dealt with, pornography, and you continuously look at it, and you feel constant conviction when you're done. So the moment that you feel tempted, get yourself out of the room, for example. Go into a bedroom or wherever your phone is not, or your computer, and think of somebody to pray for. And once you do that, your focus then moves from the flesh onto the spirit. And so then you're not going to feel temptation anymore, and that urge will leave. That has helped me in the times past. And it really takes remembering to do that whenever you feel tempted. So I'm going to end it here. I pray this video has blessed you. Thanks for watching.